I will assume you've read the passage before. What does the P in P300 most likely stand for? Um, so of these, we have two main candidates. Well, actually, we have five, but not all of these are equally good. We have parietal, and P300 does take place in or near the parietal lobe. That's possible. Potential, we have an ERP, which is an event-related potential. Positive, we don't actually have anything that says something is positive here, so that's not as likely. Perception, again, the whole passage is about perception, so that doesn't seem as good. Likewise, peak, we do have that it peaks 300 milliseconds after the stimulus appears, but that seems like that would be true for all of them. Oh, here's positive voltage. But it seems like all brain responses would have the positive voltage deflection, so that wouldn't make it a good distinction. Peak, I guess that's also possible. Now let's see which one would make the most sense. So P300 it's the some P that has 300 attached to it. And so we would want to use that to distinguish it from other P's. Now, if this particular one is in the parietal lobe but other ones are not, then it doesn't make sense to name event-related potentials P300 for parietal if they're not all in the parietal lobe. So this doesn't make sense. Now we have the difference between potential and peak. So if the peak is at 300, we might name it that. But then, it's not necessarily, if there's more than one peak, we wouldn't necessarily have this as good of a measure. And since it is a subset, since P300 is one of many event-related potentials, having all of them labeled as a potential, so this potential is potential number 300, named because it happens 300 milliseconds later. What if some of them don't have a peak, for example? All of these are event-related potentials. What if they don't exactly have one peak? So peak would be a less likely scenario since the overall category of things are called ERPs. Potential and the fact that they may not actually have a peak but a steady rate, for example, once they reach that, a plateau, for example. Potential is a more likely source for the letter P.